Everyone knows the Colosseum, that colossal, iconic skeleton of Rome. But look closer. Have you ever wondered why only half of it still stands? Why one side soars proudly into the sky, while the other has simply vanished? What force could destroy one of the greatest buildings ever made? The truth is a story of earthquakes, greed, and survival. And it reveals how Rome itself cannibalized its own glory. For nearly 500 years, the Colosseum was the beating heart of the Roman Empire. Tens of thousands of spectators once roared as gladiators fought to the death. Wild animals were hunted in elaborate spectacles, and emperors put on shows to remind their people who ruled the world. To celebrate his victory in Dacia, Emperor Trajan once held games that lasted 123 days, with over 5,000 pairs of gladiators and 11,000 animals slain. It was Rome's ultimate stage, the symbol of power, wealth, and control. But nothing lasts forever. As the empire declined, so did the games. The costs became unbearable, wild animals grew scarce, and Christian influence condemned the bloodshed. By the early 5th century, the last gladiators had fought, and the Colosseum fell silent. Without imperial money to maintain it, nature and neglect began their slow attack. Fires swept through its wooden seating, earthquakes cracked its mighty arches, and the structure began to crumble. The north side was built on solid bedrock, but the south side rested on soft, waterlogged ground. That difference, invisible to the eye, doomed half the building. Then, in the year 1349, disaster struck. A massive earthquake ripped through Rome, and the entire southern outer wall of the Colosseum came crashing down. Thousands of tons of stone collapsed into the streets, creating a mountain of rubble so vast that locals called it the Colosseum's thigh. But this wasn't the end of the Colosseum, it was the beginning of its second life, because Rome, ever practical, saw opportunity in ruins. The fallen stones became the building blocks of a new city. For centuries, the Colosseum was used as a massive quarry. Its shining travertine limestone and marble were carted away to build churches, palaces, and even parts of St. Peter's Basilica. In 1452, one contractor alone hauled away more than 2,500 cartloads of stone. Imagine it. The greatest arena in human history dismantled piece by piece to construct the city it once entertained. And while the popes and nobles were stripping it for materials, ordinary Romans were making it their home. During the Middle Ages, the Colosseum was a neighborhood. Families lived in its vaults and passageways. There were gardens, shops, stables, and even small churches tucked inside its arches. Some of the inhabitants were lime burners, workers who literally tore apart the same walls they lived under to create lime for mortar. The Colosseum became a strange paradox, half monument, half village, both alive and dying at the same time. Over time, the structure grew more unstable. Rain vines and roots gnawed at the stone. Fires blackened the arches. By the 1500s, Rome's leaders finally realized they were losing their most famous landmark. But it wasn't moral awakening that saved it. It was convenience. The north side of the Colosseum, the one we still see today, stood along the ceremonial route connecting the Lateran Palace to the Vatican. Popes used that route for grand processions, and the Colosseum made a magnificent backdrop. So they preserved that side, not out of respect for history, but because it looked impressive behind their parades. Thanks to those processions, half the Colosseum survived while the rest vanished into the bones of Renaissance Rome. When you walk through the streets of modern Rome, past its churches, fountains, and noble palaces, you're also walking through fragments of the missing Colosseum. Its stones are everywhere, hidden in plain sight. So, why is only half the Colosseum still standing? Because time and nature weakened it. Because earthquakes split it. But most of all, because Romans themselves rebuilt their new world with pieces of their old one. The Colosseum didn't simply collapse. It was reborn. Next time you stand before that mighty ruin, remember, what you see is not a broken monument, but the remains of a city's endless cycle of creation and destruction. Half of it gone, but its legacy, carved into every stone of Rome, still standing strong. If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden story of history, make sure to subscribe for more tales like this, where the past still whispers through the ruins of our world.